What is up, everybody? Creatures of Darkness coming at you today with something I think is kind of exciting. And if you're a sci fi fan, you might think it's exciting as well. Today, we're going to be talking about the possibility of a Sliders reboot, which I'm really excited about. If anybody grew up in the 90s like I did, I'm sure you probably watched Sliders. I watched it on the Sci Fi Network. I think it originally aired on Fox, but I watched most of it on Sci Fi Channel. And anybody that knows the history of this show, this show went through developers' hell. Great cast. The first two seasons were amazing. And half of the third season, the first half of the third season was really good as well. And then it starts to get into messy territory. Sliders had 5 seasons altogether. And the last 2 seasons were, they were okay. If you're a die-hard Sliders fan like me, you stuck through it to the end. But it unfortunately ended on a cliffhanger. Now, the premise of the show was Jerry O'Connell's character, Quinn Mallory, creates a device where it's kind of like it was an old 1990s cell phone, which to kids today probably would look like a brick. But this was before, for those of you too young to know, this was before texting and all that. A cell phone was literally just for calling people, had a big old antenna on it, and you could hardly ever get any service on it back then. but but he creates this device that allows them to travel to parallel Earths, alternate Earths. Like they go to an Earth where England won the Revolutionary War, and then we're still English subjects, and it's got an amazing cast. Jerry O'Connell, like I said, Cleavant Derricks, who plays Rembrandt Brown. Crying Man Brown was a singer. He did like blues and stuff like that. He's a singer in real life as well. Beautiful singer. But he's kind of just driving along in his Cadillac, and the vortex that Jerry O'Connell and John Rhys-Davis, the legendary John Rhys-Davis, plays the professor in the show. Absolutely amazing actor, and an amazing, just amazing portrayal of the professor in this show as well. And Sabrina Lloyd, who to my knowledge is retired now. I think she lives in Africa with her husband, who plays Wade Wells. So Jerry O'Connell's character invents this device to travel to alternate Earths. Him and Wade and the professor jump in, but the vortex kind of goes rogue. It kind of goes into the street, and which leads Rembrandt Brown to panic and drive through it with his Cadillac. So he kind of gets caught up on this ride to alternate Earths that he really didn't want to be on. Everybody else volunteered except for him. And funny enough, in the very last episode of season 5, he's the only one left out of the original cast. He was brave enough to stick through some really bad writing there near the end, and it ends on a cliffhanger because you think he's going to finally get to go home to his Earth, and we don't know what happened to him because we never got a season 6, so it kind of ends on a cliffhanger there. But yeah, they travel from Earth to Earth trying to find their way home because Jerry O'Connell's character doesn't know how to get back to our original Earth. So they're lost, and they go to all kinds of crazy Earths. Like there's an Earth where the Soviet Union won the Cold War and took over America. That's a scary world to be in. So just a great show and a great premise for a show. Now, bad writing and just people that just really didn't seem to care about the show in the writer's room destroyed this show. Season 1 and 2 are amazing. Then you get to season 3. Now, the first half of season 3 is great. It's pretty good. Then we start to see a breakdown. John Rhys-Davis decided that the writing was just so atrocious by the mid of season 3. He quit the show. So they kill his character off. unfortunately, which really sucks. So the professor is dead, and then that was the beginning of the decline, a very steep, hard decline. Wade, Sabrina Lloyd's character, she sticks it out until the very end of season three. She does the rest of season three, and then she quits. So she doesn't come back for season four. So now, and our cast members keep being replaced, but they're replaced by people that you really don't care about like you do the original cast. And yeah, so Jerry O'Connell sticks around through season four because they let him actually write a lot of season four. Um, and he tried to get the show back on track, but it was just too late by that point. So Jerry O'Connell just could not save the show, so he quits. And then we get to season five, and we have Cleavant Derricks, and he was the only one left to stick around until the very last episode. And like I said, they gave him a crappy finale, a crappy end, because that ends on a cliffhanger, unfortunately. And but I'm really excited because the original cast, Jerry O'Connell, Cleavant Derricks, and John Rhys-Davis, about 3 months ago, and the video's on YouTube if anybody wants to watch it. They did a meetup where they talked about the revival of Sliders. They want to do a revival of Sliders with the original cast. Now, I don't know if they'll be able to get Sabrina Lloyd back because she is retired. Like I said, I think she lives in Africa with her husband now. So I don't know what'll happen with her character. But those three, at least, are really interested in doing a revival. And if it's in their hands, if they get to decide the story and the scripts and the writing, especially John Rhys-Davies, who is a legendary actor. He was in Indiana Jones. He was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Just a great actor. So if the scripts are in their hands, I think it would be an amazing show. And I really want to see a reboot because this series deserved better. It's such a smart premise, going to alternate Earths. There's so much you can do with that. You could tell stories forever with that. You know how many alternate Earths and alternate histories you could play around with and mess around with and tell stories about, man? That's just to think that the writers in the 90s fumbled that is just beyond me. But they were too interested in sex. They wanted more sexy stuff. And you know how many shows have been destroyed by that crap? You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with having a strong female character or even a sexy female character. And you can have a couple of episodes with a sexy female character. Cool. I am not against that. I love women. I am a fan of females. Trust me. But man, don't revolve your entire show around sexy stuff and action, and it's just stupidity, man. And that's what happened to this original series in the 90s. It got killed by dumbasses in the writers' room, which is what they were. They were dumbasses. And they wanted they didn't like the premise of the show because the writing was too smart. Okay. So they wanted more action and more sex, and yep, that's what we got. And because they wanted that, we got a really crappy final 2 seasons of an amazing series that pooped out near the end. So hopefully if we do get a reboot, I really think it's in good hands with Jerry O'Connell, Cleavant Derricks, and John Rhys-Davies. Like I said, I'd really like to see Sabrina Lloyd return, but I don't think that's a possibility. I think she's retired now. I really don't think she's coming back. By the way, I looked up her information before I did this video. I was doing some research, and she did a movie with Patrick Swayze called Fatherhood. That's crazy to me that she was in a Patrick Swayze movie. I think it was in like '93. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic. But anyway, she's a great actress. I would really like to see her return, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think she's pretty much done with acting altogether, which I don't blame her. Acting's a hard business, and it's Hollywood's a difficult place, especially these days. With all the vampires and the the weirdos out there that feed on people and try to manipulate and use people. But I really would like to see this show rebooted, and I really, really want good scripts, good writing, a good just a restart to an amazing show. And I think we're in good hands if we can get the original cast to do the scripts and stuff like that. Now, what's holding all these reboots up, or this reboot for this show up, is what always happens with stuff like this: the rights. It's a bickering for the rights of the show. My last video, I talked about Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man series, about, Disney doesn't own the rights to that. So we never got, a season 3 to that show. Well, the same goes with this show, which is very common in Hollywood, apparently. But it's a bickering between who owns the rights to Sliders and who can sell the rights, and if they want to sell the rights. Same old bullcrap. So it's kind of in developmental hell right now. And they've been wanting to reboot the show for at least a couple of years. But 3 months ago, that was the first time that they ever got together and seriously really talked about it. If you're a Sliders fan, I really recommend watching that video on YouTube with the three of them really talking about giving this show the revival that it deserves. I'm really excited about it. I hope that it happens. And let's do it. Let's get it done while we still have the original cast, while they're still alive. John Rhys-Davis is in his 70s, and Cleavant Derricks he's in his 60s. So these guys are not spring chickens anymore, So let's get this reboot done while we still have the original cast to do it, and let's give a revival and a really true ending, a good ending to an amazing science fiction television show that was ruined by dumbasses in the writers' room. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. I hope we get a reboot, and I hope Sliders gets the good ending that it deserves. And until next time, take care of yourselves and peace.